Acquiring the relevant knowledge. Introduction. Welcome to this talk. In our previous discussions, we have considered different ways of managing negative emotions. Today, we are going to discuss another important method. Acquiring the relevant knowledge. Certain factors that trigger emotions are learned conditions. Imitation is the usual method of learning without any conscious effort. From childhood, we learn many emotional reactions by observing our parents, teachers, friends, colleagues, and the society around us. We may learn that certain situations are dangerous, certain people cannot be trusted, or certain events should make us angry or afraid. Often, we learn these reactions without consciously deciding to learn them. Although it may not be possible to get rid of all such learned conditions through logical analysis, some of them can be handled through appropriate knowledge. In other words, gaining a better understanding of the situation can sometimes weaken or even remove the emotional reaction that was previously triggered. Understanding the actual reason, finding out the actual reasons for fear, anger, disgust, or sorrow can be somewhat painful. Sometimes we may have to accept that our earlier interpretation of an event was incorrect. This can be uncomfortable because we naturally tend to believe that our first interpretation was correct. However, in certain cases, such emotions are generated due to wrong assumptions. Therefore, once the actual reason is recognized, the identical surrounding will not lead to the previously generated negative emotion because the triggering mechanism is no longer effective. For example, you may get angry about a former friend because you misunderstood a step taken by him to help you. Perhaps your friend did something that appeared to be against your interests. You interpreted the action as intentional harm and became angry. Later, when you discover that your friend was actually trying to protect you or help you, your understanding of the incident changes. The next time you remember that event, the same level of anger may no longer arise because you now know the actual reason. Similarly, you may get disgusted about a decision taken by your employer or government because the reasons that compelled them to take such a decision are not known. When we see only the final decision, we may immediately conclude that the decision was unreasonable, unfair, or harmful. But if we later learn about the circumstances, limitations, financial pressures, safety concerns, or other factors behind the decision, our reaction may change. A simple current example is a sudden change in a workplace policy. Employees may initially become angry because they are told only that a new restriction has been introduced. Later, they may discover that the change was made because of a security problem, a legal requirement, or an operational difficulty. The same policy may then be viewed differently. You may also get frightened due to a sound you heard in the night because you are unaware of the actual cause that created that sound. For example, you may hear a strange noise outside your house and immediately imagine that someone is attempting to enter. Your fear may become quite strong, but after investigating, you may discover that the sound was caused by a loose window, an animal, the wind, or an object falling outside. The sound was real, but the conclusion you reached about its cause was wrong. Similarly, you may feel sad due to a message you have received, although it was not addressed to you because you did not verify it. This can happen particularly easily today because of mobile phones and social media. A message may be forwarded without its original context. A short statement may appear alarming when only part of the information is available. You may read such a message, assume that it concerns you or someone close to you, and immediately experience sadness or anxiety. Later, you may discover that the message was intended for somebody else, or that the information was incomplete. It is important to note that the process behind such emotions involves a conclusion based on incomplete and/or erroneous information, and/or not adopting the proper analytical process. The emotional reaction may therefore be understandable, but the conclusion that produced it may not be correct. To avoid generating a bad emotional reaction, you should clarify the events and avoid making a wrong assumption based on incomplete and erroneous information. Before concluding that someone has intentionally harmed you, ask whether there could be another explanation. Before becoming frightened by an unusual event, ask what other causes could have produced it. Before becoming angry about a decision, try to understand the circumstances behind it. And before becoming sad or worried about information you receive, verify whether the information is accurate and whether it actually concerns you.